I just want to take the time to welcome you guys to our Friday teleclass. It's a startup teleclass that we do every Friday at 11 a.m. And we are talking about the idea of starting your very own niche recruiting and staffing agency business. Last week was our first call, and what a great call it was. And we learned a lot about getting this business started, what's expected from a financial perspective, what's expected from a skill set perspective, the whole nine. So today we're going to dive right back into there a little bit more. There are a few things that I want to say. Okay. Number one, I want you guys to mute your phones if you're not talking, only because we don't want any feedback. And I believe that number is *6. And then when you are ready to start to talk, you can definitely hit *7, and that will allow you to speak there. I believe, and you can call out if that works or if it doesn't. So I want to start there. Second of all, I want to remind you, Staffingpreneursacademy.com is definitely the location that you want to go to learn all things startup staffing and recruiting. I have to talk about that, and now I want to dive in and get started. So every week I like to tap into just a light conversation about the niche, because the niche seems to be the big question that people are consistently talking about or asking about. And so I will open the floor for anyone that has questions about a niche in particular. But I think that it's a good idea for us to start thinking bigger when we're talking about the niche, or maybe even larger when we're talking about the niche. A lot of times people tend to think that a niche can only be in a specific industry. I hear quite often, well, D, nobody places people in this industry, but they also haven't taken the time to do the research to see that there is just about in every industry out there, in every industry in the world, if there's an open position, there's probably more than one, and you probably have an opportunity to create a niche out of that opportunity, out of that job skill set, that space. And that's ultimately what you want to do. You want to find a niche that's going to be beneficial to both you and the client, the candidate, the client, and yourself. Okay, so I want to take a quick second and to read a little bit about the niching, the different ways that you can niche, because there are three different ways to niche. And I'm pulling this out of the Staffing Industry Review magazine, which is January, February 2015. This has actually been one of my most exciting reads from this magazine recently, but I want to share this with you. The many faces of niching. As the momentum toward increased specialization continues to gain steam, companies are adopting better ways of defining, designing, and developing a niche. Three of the most popular methods are: one, micro niching. As in Secur's example, firms that micro niche develop desks or divisions with incredible depth within just a few related job titles or roles. As a result, the individuals running these specialties have contacts and knowledge that run wide and deep, making them the go-to subject matter experts in those areas. That is called micro niching. Okay. The key section of that is that they're developing desk or divisions with incredible depth with just a few related job titles or roles. That's really what I like to show you guys how to do, because you become way more valuable to a company when you focus on one or two specific roles. And what I wanted to tell you guys last week that it hit me afterwards, the cool thing about niching small, starting off small, is that you give yourself a greater advantage of organically building your business out over time. Okay, so let's say, for instance, that you are placing, and I'm just going to use IT project managers for an example. So let's say all you do is place IT project managers. Over time, if you're placing IT project managers, that's who you're talking to. There are two other people that you're going to be talking to on a consistent basis outside of those IT project managers. And that's the person that reports to the IT project manager, and that's the person who the IT project manager reports to. Now, although your goal is to match every IT project manager with an amazing company, right? An amazing job. You're connecting them with their hiring managers, not the HR manager. So you're ultimately going to build a pipeline of program managers, right? Because that's who the IT project manager reports to. So now you're recruiting for IT project managers. You're also creating this pipeline, or this leads list, or whatever you want to call it, this of IT program managers. So now you've developed a whole nother pipeline over time. As you're not only placing IT project managers, you can go in and ultimately place IT program managers or program managers, right? So, and let's take it, you can do the same thing going backwards. The same exact thing going backwards. So you're placing IT project managers. Who reports to the project manager? Is it a business analyst? So now you're going to be pipelining business analysts, because you want to talk to the business analysts so that they can introduce you to who? The IT project managers. Now you've got a full-fledged IT project management staffing agency, because you're placing project managers, program managers, and business analysts. Now you've done the next section. Let's talk about the next niche. I'm getting amped up over here talking about this. Hold on one second. So macro niching. Macro niching, the most popular of the specialization strategies. Macro niching combines an industry focus with job specialization. Companies employing this method identify their quote unquote sweet spot, a handful of job types for which there is a high demand, and that the recruiting team can manufacture adequately, an adequate supply. All right, by having who clients need before they need them, sweet spot orders are filled quickly, giving the firm more time to find talent to fill, to find harder jobs to fill. I hope that makes sense. So here's an example. An industrial staffing firm whose core roles are welders, machinists, and assemblers would always be actively recruiting this talent. These orders are filled immediately upon acquisition, freeing up time to recruit and fill more specialized positions. Okay, so that's so that's how. So we ultimately turned, with micro niching, a specialized skill set. We created and made it a macro niching agency. Ultimately, is what we did. But you can start off macro niching as well. You don't have to go so deep. I believe niching within a niche. They called it here in another portion of the article, niching the niche. To me, niching the niche is the best way to go. I've been saying it for years, because you start to build a community. And you're living in 2015, not in 2005 or 1995. Community is imperative. And so the reality is that if you really want to build this business and start this business and have this business really stand out for you, you really do have to build a network of people who are willing to walk this journey with you. And the more likable you are, the more willing they will be. And that's hiring manager and or candidate, because they're both one and the same. Okay, now I'm training. I'm supposed to be talking startup, but they are both one and the same. There is no difference between your hiring manager and your candidate, because that hiring manager started out as a candidate. Somebody brought them into that company, unless they are the owner, founder, and CEO. And even they can still be recruited out of their company into another one. I'm telling you, this thing is so flexible. It really, I want to say, you got to be fluid like water when you're talking about, the recruiting and staffing industry. Okay, but not as fluid with your niche, because that is really, I mean, there are some key other things that can really take that business to the next level, but that niche is really what's going to, set you apart, because you'll be able to provide candidates at a way faster rate than their internal team, as well as any other staffing agency in the space. And if you do as I tell you and develop the relationships with the candidates and really pipeline them, and not just have a whole database full of people, then you will really, when you see a match, or when someone calls you because they love your energy and they want to give you the job order, you can do something as easy as pick up the phone and make 2 or 3 phone calls and have exactly what you need. And then you can flow in this business with ease, and it can be exciting and not stressful. A lot of people find this business stressful because they put too much thought into the wrong things, and definitely not enough love and relationship in anything. Okay, I'm not going to preach to you. Okay, so that's the macro niching. The geo niching is the third one. One of the newer and fastest growing niche methods combine location or type of location with the job or industry type. This is an example. If a company was had a focus on placing salespeople in rural areas, or filling managerial and executive roles in Latin American banks based in Miami, New York, and London, that would be nice. I mean, that's a real niche. Okay. The popularity and successes of geo niching is the result of the ever increasing importance of cultural fit and the selection process. That they just not talk about what I just talked about, because that's how the match is really successful. It's not just the skill set match. And I talk about this, I hope, through every one of my startup calls, because people come into this business and they really believe, like, oh, I'll just take all my friends that I know that are unemployed, and then I'm just going to call and I'm just going to go and put them in jobs. And while the thought is so beautiful, it really depends on the type of friends you have, and the type of skill sets that you have, and the type of clients that you're trying to match them with. Because just because you have people that you know that are unemployed doesn't mean that those are the exact people that that your clients in particular may want to hire, may want to hire. So you want to keep that in mind. I want to go back just a little bit to the geo niching. I really like geo niching, but I also want you to be open at the same time. When you're talking about geo niching and really putting together, let me give you another example that I think is more realistic. um, Database administrators. Okay, database administrators are like a really great niche. And if you were in a space where, like, Atlanta has a really strong market for payment processing companies, right? So you could start a database administrator company. Atlanta is one of the top 10 cities. New York is one of the top 10 cities. Like, really focusing on maybe the top three: New York, Atlanta, and such, seeing how many how many payment processing companies are collectively there in those locations, and start creating strategy. And I'm a strategy person. I said on last night's call, a training, every time I use strategy, I'm going to pluck my fingers. You can do that with me if you feel the burn. So strategy is about looking at your landscape. And this is knowing your market. This is all a part of your startup phase. Okay, seeing what's out there. Okay, so where are my top 5 cities, I usually start with top 10 and narrowing it down, that have my particular niche on fire. Okay, then you want to start thinking about competition. Okay, who's talking to who's working with who are the giants, who are the mid-size, who are the smalls, who are rivals and who are not, who's not, right? The starting up a business is not just about the legal aspect. There's a whole world that you want to surround yourself with so that you're growing this market. As you can hear, these companies that they're talking about in this magazine, to be honest with you, have already been up and going, and they're going backwards. They're realizing the things that they've done in the past don't work. People don't want general. They're not interested in general. They want niche. Enough for them to I mean, almost the whole book is about it, right? So this is a challenge that the industry is having to overcome, and they're trying to find ways to do so. Micro niching very small. You think about it. What are some good niches that are in your space? If you don't know, Staffingpreneurs Academy on the inside. If you join even as a free member, as a gift to you, I've provided a startup checklist so that you can go in there and you can start getting an idea of what's needed for that startup. And one of the things you can do is learn your market or learn the landscape or see what's available out there for you in your particular niche or in a space that you may be interested in niching in. Okay. And just to run through that really quickly, what are the top 10 hottest jobs? Or how about if you love your current job so much, you know this job just as well as anybody else, you could niche that position, specifically that position. See how many companies out there hiring for your specific job title. I tell people every day, do not call me asking me to help you find a job when you can take the same level of energy that you would put to find a job into placing people into that job and making way more cash and having way more flexibility. I'm not sure if this young lady is on a call, but there's a young lady in the Washington, D.C. area who works for the government. One of the things that she told me when I met her years ago, she said, sometimes depending on the position that you have free time in your position. She said, my goal and my desire is to go to Paris. And so I realized that I could spend some of my free time and place some of these people that these companies are having a hard time filling. So what she did, which is the same method that I tell everyone to do, is she went out there and started building relationships with a particular skill set. Okay? She called everybody she could find who held that title. And she started building relationships. She told them what she was doing. Hey, I'm just looking to place you. I want to connect you with companies if you're ever in the market. Oh, you're looking for something now? Oh, I'm going to put you down on my list here because I'm calling companies in a week or so and I want to make sure that I have you available. Let me find out some information about you. I mean, she was very relaxed because she had something already. She just naturally flew into this. I think she's gone to Paris every year since I've met her. She's made hundreds of thousands of dollars part-time while she's at work, which is crazy, and doing her thing, And so somebody asked me, that was one of the emails that I got. D, can I do this part-time? Is it doable? It really is, but it just depends on the level of energy that you want to put into there. Okay, so I spent almost about 19 minutes talking about the niche. I want to open the floor a little bit. You can press *7 on your phone to speak. If you have any questions about anything that I've discussed or any questions regarding the niche or a niche that you're thinking about getting into, chime in. Let's have a conversation this morning.
Kirsten.
Hey, Kirsten, where are you calling out of, if you don't mind sharing?
Yes, Houston, Texas.
Thank you for calling in from Houston. I'm all ears. What do you have for me? Kirsten, you there?
Say that one more time.
Yeah, I just said I'm all ears. I'm ready to hear your question.
Oh, okay. Well, I had one question for today, and that was last night when we were on the webinar, I had seen when we were in the group section of Google Plus that there was a group called Work at Home Recruiting. And I was thinking, is there a work at home niche for recruiting that you know of, or is that just something the group named itself.
No, there is a work at home. Thank you for that question. First of all, that's a great question. There is a work at home niche, and really what they call it is just contract recruiting, or because you have to understand corporate companies allow recruiters to work from home. Sometimes when those recruiters get that feeling, and then it's time for them to go back out there into corporate and they can't work from home, they rather take a contract versus going back into an office or finding a company that will allow them to work from home. The group that you saw yesterday, I think it was pertaining to just a work at home group where you're recruiting people maybe for MLM or something like that. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. And typically in the recruiting and staffing space, we just call them contract recruiters and we say they work at home. But you're talking to me, and I am about creativity. Okay, because that's where we're going. We're going into the space that we're going into. It's about using your ideas, unleashing your ideas and your creativity to create something. So if you're passionate about working at home and you're passionate about connecting recruiting professionals who work at home and placing them in companies, create your world, my love.
Okay.
Yeah, seriously.
That's what I was wondering, because I know that when you say choose a niche, it's very important to choose something specific, like IT project managers and RNs and so on and so forth. But I was unclear as to if the work at home recruiting agency would have different positions or if it was strictly for recruiters. And it sounds to me like it's more of a recruiters.
And everybody's model
would be, yes, niche would be recruiters.
Yes.
Who work at home.
Yes. And it can, everybody's model is different. So it doesn't necessarily have to be whatever model is out there. That doesn't necessarily mean that you can't create another model or you can't service the other end, because understand, where there's dissatisfaction, that's where opportunity is created. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So that group, you have to go into that group in particular to see what that one is about. But I love to go into groups and to see what they're doing, because then my ideas start to pop out. Oh, this is nice, but let me see if they have a group that's like this. And then if you can't find what you're looking for, create it. And that's the same thing with the niche. If there are no staffing agencies that focus specifically on recruiters or on the art or the act of recruiting, then create it.
Okay.
Yeah, the world is your oyster, really. Any more? Thank you so much for that question. Any more questions on the niche? Press *7 to speak, *6 to mute your phone.
Hello.
Hello, who am I speaking with?
You're speaking with Anissa.
Hey, how are you today?
I'm fine.
Awesome.
I am really concerned about the niche. I started a company about approximately 10 months ago, and I'm in the affordable housing industry.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is attempting to place people in government and pseudo-governmental agencies, private property management companies that administer and deliver the HUD or low-income public housing and tax credit services.
That's very interesting. How did you come up with that niche? I have to ask.
Because I was a Section 8 manager as well as a property manager for one of the low-income public housing developments in Detroit, Michigan. And I worked for the people that actually do the income verifications when I was in Miami, Florida.
Okay.
And one of the things that I discovered is we really need quality people in that industry delivering those services.
Okay. So now I agree with that. Now, when you said that was the one thing that you discover, were you hearing how did you discover that? Was that something that you experienced? Was that something that you were constantly hearing? Was that something that, tell me, how did you discover that?
In hiring, it was difficult to get people who had the experience, and then once you hired someone, you found out that there were other people out there who were looking for jobs, so there was no one connecting or sharing that information on a large scale so that people could make those changes. The other thing was that there is a turnover. It is a highly compliant position, and if you don't remain on top of those skills, they will let you go. So it is constantly changing.
Okay, so my brain is going in so many different directions. So let me ask you this. With the agencies that the companies are currently using before you develop, are you the only agency out there with this specific niche?
As far as a niche for an entire agency, yes. Are there other recruiters out there who have placed? There was a man in Florida who just placed a deputy director for, I believe it was Gainesville, Florida. And I reached out to him, and he said, well, he had a relationship.
Well, that's where it starts. That is where it starts. That is definitely where it starts. So let me go back and ask another question. Is the challenge with your niche the fact that where's your challenge coming in? Where's it coming in at? Is it coming in with the fact that you're not making placements or that you're not finding the talent?
It's coming in that I'm not finding the placement.
Okay.
I'm not getting into the agencies or the property management companies.
Okay. So he gave you the key, but I don't know if you heard him loud enough. You remembered what he said, and he gave you the key. Right. He told you more than he probably should have. He gave you the key, but you saw you didn't catch it, right? You just remembered it. So let's think about this. How many networks are you attending every networking events that you're attending every month?
That would be 0.
So we can start with there. How many people are you physically interacting with?
At least 2.
That's it? In your niche? Where are the people at? Do you know where your market is? Do you know where they hang out? What events they're going to? This is a business development call, but your niche is not the issue, just so you know. And I say that with love. It has nothing to do with your niche. It has to do with your strategy. And that coincides with this very conversation. You're coming into this business, but you've got to have a strategy. That gentleman had a strategy of how he was going to go out and build relationships for him to land the business. Now, I tell you, I have this conversation with my students. I have one class in particular that I sometimes feel like, we don't really understand how valuable our candidates are. Okay, and not just our candidates, but people. Everybody's a candidate, everybody's a client, everybody's a referral. When you start looking at your business that way, then your business will look differently and function differently. Okay, because everybody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. So this is about you, literally. This is a relationship business. If you want a quick hit, then you're going to work harder most of the time. But if you want your business to work for you, it starts with the relationship. It starts with your niche is wonderful. And if you add some real strategy behind what you have, my love, oh my goodness, you will be a force to be reckoned with, because you will have something that everyone else does not have. And you've been in this space, so you know what the issue is. Now you've got to pull those ideas together and start adding things onto your staffing agency business to make it more valuable. It's very old school just to staff today. What else do you offer? What else do you do? How else are you going to be a true partner to me? Don't just say it. Don't just be about it. Talk about it, be about it. That was lots of positive energy your way, my love. Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you.
I love it. Anyone else want to ask a question regarding the niche? *7 to speak, *6 to mute your line. Really great energy. Great questions.
Dee, I have a question.
Yes, who am I speaking with?
This is Imani in Atlanta, Georgia.
Hey, Imani, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you. And maybe this is something that you might be able to address later. But what has happened in me building my network for my niche, or my pipeline rather, I have people that are reaching out to me to ask me to assist them in landing roles outside of my niche. And so I really don't want to turn anyone away.
Right.
I see dollars on the table.
Right.
And so perhaps you can give some insight in how to manage that part, because what I've done is I've sought to find what you call contract recruiters to help with managing those folks, because there are only so many hours in the day. It's just me. And but I want to manage those relationships effectively so that I can get those folks placed, and then also keep concentrating on my niche.
You are doing an amazing job, and this is an awesome question. Really, you're on the right path. What I typically tell people is do not dilute your ATS with candidates that are not a part of your niche. And I know that sounds harsh. When my mentor told me that years ago, I looked at him like he was crazy. What? But you don't want to. You want to have a clean ATS. But more importantly, you definitely want to connect with other recruiters or other agencies where you can develop splits, or you could maybe hire a nice intern to take those people and register to a number of the splits boards out there. And then as you have people in that you've already pipelined and spoken to, you can have that intern make some extra cash on the side, by connecting matching those candidates with those jobs. So the key here, and my mentor told me years ago, I never forgot this. He said, you always want to have at least 5 other recruiting companies or recruiting partners that you have relationships with, contracts in play, so that when those candidates come your way that you cannot service, you can still build the relationship with the candidate. You can forward the candidate over to that other company. That other company is then going to place that candidate. You have a contract with them, so you're not leaving money on the table. Hello. You still have a relationship with that candidate, so they may still give you the job order when one becomes available in the company that they go to, right? Or you may end up placing them later, or they may end up connecting you with the right person for another position, but you still have the relationship. You still got paid. He got placed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that feel good?
Yes. It's just what I found is like how to find those. I mean, I'm building a network of fellow recruiters, and when I I was at a workshop yesterday, and so as I was talking to folks, I asked them, "Hey, do you place sales professionals, for example?" And so I'm trying to, establish those relationships, and then I've even gone online to like the site and posted on LinkedIn, "Hey, I'm looking to partner for Split," but it's been kind of, I don't know, it's kind of, maybe my wording is not right in what I'm asking for, because I'm asking for a full life cycle recruiter, because I don't have any jobs for these folks, so they'll have to go out and get the job and place them. So maybe I need to focus on just become that relationship. Hey, any recruiting companies that maybe focus on placing sales professionals. Maybe I need to go up that way.
Well, you know that this is why you're on this call. That's what Staffingpreneurs Academy is about. There's a young lady who actually has a staffing agency, a sales staffing agency business. She actually graduated from my course last year. Beth is her name, and I don't know if she's on the scene. I'm telling you, you're on the right call in the right place. That is what Staffingpreneurs Academy is all about, niching. And we have over 300. Listen, we went from like 300 to 380 in less than a week of people who are interested in starting their niche agency, or who have started and who are chiming in. And they're all niche. And the ones who are not niche, they're understanding why their business is not going maybe the way that they want, or maybe they're doing great general, but they're out there and they have a pipeline. And we have a pipeline training coming up this week to learn. If you're not on the academy, you want to get on, because we're going to talk about how to pipeline a candidate. But for you, before I go into that, I just want to say quickly, I will introduce you to Beth. She's in Michigan, but she only pipelines salespeople. And so you could definitely work with her and then get on the academy, introduce yourself, find out what your niche, what people's niches are, start talking to them, and you guys start creating the right relationships. Start creating the right relationships. And the academy is growing. So every day I'm talking to you guys and you're saying, change this, do this, and I'm moving it around so that it is more visible to you and you can use it as a true resource. Okay? I hope that was helpful. Was I helpful?
Yes, very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question, your participation. I appreciate you. Any more questions regarding the niche? We are a *7 to speak, *6 to mute your phone. We'll take one more question. All right. Someone speaking? Okay. All right. So the niche is, I'm going to move away from the niche if nobody has any more. Oh, is there someone speaking? Okay, moving away from the niche really quickly. I just wanted to give everyone an opportunity to speak. So I will tell you, one of the things that I also want to go over today is, successes and failures. Okay, I want to just take a quick moment to talk about successes and failures in this business. So I have worked with corporate companies, who have developed staffing agencies to support their businesses. I've worked with staffing agencies on the commercial professional solutions as well as the franchise side. And now I've worked with a number of staffingpreneurs as well. And there is a big difference. I have been successful and I have also failed myself in this business, okay? And I have come to one massive conclusion about the success and the failure of running your very own staffing agency business, and how you can determine whether or not you'll be successful in this business or not. And the first thing that I will tell you is your mindset. Okay, that's number one. That's the first way. The second way that you can tell whether or not that you'll be successful is your ability to have conversations with people. Okay? So your ability to have conversations, so your communication. The third one is your niche. Okay. I gotta throw the niche in, which is one of the things that we talked about. And then the fourth thing is your ability to repeat the same process over and over again. Repetition. That repetition comes in with organization. So I'll say repetition and organization, because you've got to organize your repetitiveness. Now, repetition is not in a bad way, but you've got to understand that in order to communicate with people, and communication goes with building relationships. In order for you to communicate, in order for you to build a relationship, you've got to have a level of repetition that goes along with your business. Okay, that's no different. You cannot start any type of relationship on this earth by talking to someone one time and then all of a sudden you guys have a relationship, and 10 years later you call them and you expect them to remember you. And I think in business we separate the idea of relationship, and we make it different. We make it awkward and weird, and it's uncomfortable for both you and the client. In particular, companies, my staffingpreneurs, my recruiters tend to they really, really are comfortable talking to the candidate. There's a level of comfortability to get in their flow. They've got this energy, but then when it's time to talk to candidates, they immediately put a barrier up that's not even really there, honestly, but they put this barrier up. Some do. Some go in there like an engine. The young lady I speak about in Wisconsin, she went in there like an engine. She understood. She had a process. She organized herself to have a level of repetition that took place. That repetition may have been to call people back. I call it a rotation schedule. That repetition may be to test something out, see how much it works, how people give you feedback on your introduction. And then you find the one that works, and then you repeat that every time. It never fails. When I did my repetition word, phrase, it was I appreciate you. I did it so much that the people around me started to say it. Okay. And then people looked forward to it. I appreciate you. They loved it. Okay. It made them want to call me back. Hiring managers. I had hiring managers tell me, D, my boss has never said, I appreciate you. It stood out. Okay. Repetition is important. Okay. Constantly connecting with someone is important. If you're starting up this business and you don't have a strategy around how you're going to consistently connect with people, once you connect with them once, then you're already setting yourself up for failure. If you're walking into this business without the right mindset is not just about strategy. Mindset is important from a strategic perspective. But the mindset of that there is no way that you can fail is imperative. There's no way that you can lose is imperative. Like, you've got to drum up physical energy on the inside of your body and shoot it to your head and know that this business is going to work. Who do you need to talk to make this happen? I mean, hunting on a mission. It's very easy to find somebody who matches a job description online. The hard part is talking that person into wanting the job and talking the other person into wanting that candidate and making the match. Okay? You're still dealing with people. Okay? So your mindset. All right. So I have a group of customers on one side of me who have been in this industry. They failed, succeeded, failed, succeeded. And really their conversation when I talk to them is all the ways that their business is not working. You have to understand that those companies don't make a lot of money. They typically give up in a very short period of time. They blame me. They blame their parents. They blame themselves. They blame the clients. They blame the economy. They blame the phone system. They blame social media. I can keep going. Okay. They blame everything. Those are the people that typically call me looking for a job. Okay. I already know what's going on with this group of people. Then I have another group of people that sits on the other side of me. These people are always calling me with strategies on how to make their business better. These people are always texting me in the middle of the night when I'm trying to attempt to get sleep to tell me that they just found the best candidate in the world and they're going to do everything in their power to find the right client for them. These are the people that are so busy that that when I text them, they say, I'm sorry, D, can't talk right now. I'm working. I'm doing it. These are the people that do not take no for an answer. These are the people that are constantly trying to figure out how to make this business work. These are the people that are making money. And there's some millionaires on this call right now, I'm sure, at this very moment. These people on every training call that they can get on, constantly thinking about how to make this business better. How do I create better relationships? They're emailing and texting me about books, about YouTube videos. What are other industries doing, D, in order for me to monetize off of that and to make the connection? Those people, they're really genuinely concerned about what the client and the candidate are looking for. Their money always goes up, 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 up. The ones who are quickly looking to make that cash and that are quickly looking to just find somebody or find the people that they know and just place them, those are the people that I typically have challenges with. I spend more time on the phone with, okay? And while I'm here to help, less enjoyable conversation. And I'm going to be honest with you. And I'm going to tell you why. Because their mindset has not opened enough for them to see that they are creating the business that they want based on what their fears are and what they believe and what they think. And how am I going to change their minds from that? Because that's something only that they can do. So what I like to do is bring everyone together here on Staffingpreneurs Academy. So hopefully the positive energy off of the people who are billing big and that are making real connections will rub off on the people who only see defeat. But because I love those people too, because they're still here, which means that they know they're going in the right direction. We just got to mend the two and change the mindset. This is a very hard business to be in. Any business, if you're thinking about being a staffingpreneur and you're already in the mindset of what about my competition, already in the mindset of being defeated, already in the mindset of how it's not working, okay? That is what you're creating. The people that are successful, no holds barred. There's nothing that I'm going to even be able to tell, oh, that may, oh, D, don't tell me, I'm going to find a way. They're the ones that are doing big. So your mindset is big. So how you believe or what you believe about the market that you're recruiting in, what you believe about your niche, what you believe about yourself. Oh my goodness. Big one. When people are afraid to pick up the phone and call business owners, when I say create your target list, when I start talking to my classes about creating their target list, I tell them, and I'm giving you guys information to help you grow your business. I say 3 people I want you to have on that target list. I want you to have a C-level executive, a VP level executive, and the exact title of the hiring manager that your niche person is going to report to. The first question that I get every time, you want me to call the CEO of a company? Yes, I do. I want you to call him. I want you to be bold enough and brave enough to pick up the phone and call him. You know why he's going to want to talk to you? Because that's always the second question. Why would he want to talk to me? Because you're a CEO. That's who you are. CEOs talk to other CEOs. If you don't believe in yourself, you're starting this business. You're not starting this business as an employee. You're starting this business as an employer. You have more pull than the recruiters that you would hire to call and do business development for you. Do you not see that? That CEO is your peer. Okay? You are not its subordinate. You're on the same path, the same level. Okay? So mindset, strategy. I'm getting all excited over here. Mindset also, so not just believing in yourself, because believing in having not just changing your thought process around the business, but knowing who you are as the CEO of this company, knowing who you are, everyone that you speak to, and I say this in the most respectful way, should be of admiring you. Like you are the CEO of a company. Star 6, please. You know, you're the CEO of a company. So the mindset of who you are, and then your strategy. You should not be starting this business without strategy. Strategy. I did not want to talk about this, but we have I can't tell you guys yet, but we have a strategy call that's going to be coming up soon for people who've already started and are looking, or who are passionate about creating strategy around their business. Okay, that's not a startup call. We'll have more information on the academy about that soon. I'm very excited. I have some industry experts that are coming in to help open this conversation up. It's about strategy. How do you connect with your market? And the only way that you're going to be able to develop a strategy is by knowing your market, knowing what your market wants, knowing what your market needs, what your market lacks, what makes them uncomfortable at night, what keeps them up in the morning, why, and the why behind it. That's serious. That's some serious stuff there. And the why behind it. Okay, because the why is really what's going to take it to the next level. And then the ability to build relationships and to have communication. If you're calling people with fear, that's a problem. Not the right business for you. I'm sorry. I love you. But you can be a sourcer for this industry. But if you have an issue calling people and just sharing yourself with them, which means you've got to have some self-worth, then this is going to be a challenging industry for you to get into. Okay? Because people do business with people they like. People do business with people they like. So you will have way more relationships, way more contracts, depending on the amount of relationships that you're able to provide or able to establish. And they should be real ones. There's no way on this earth that I should know my clients' wives and children's names if I don't have a relationship with them. I mean, I know their names. I can call them and say, hey, John, how's Judy? How's Jimmy? How's soccer? Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. Because I take the time to get to know them, because I genuinely am interested in who they are, because I know genuinely they represent me and my business. And I know that those relationships will last me a lifetime. Now, the crazy ones I run away from. So know which ones are the crazy ones. Okay, so communicating, being comfortable on the phone. That means relaxing your shoulders. That means smiling. That means pulling up energy from the inside, even if you're not as energetic as D. Williams or as loud as D. Williams. It means creating an alter ego for yourself. Nobody wants to sit on the phone and talk to someone who's boring. They do that all day. Like, give them a breath of sunshine. Hey, my name is Trina and I'm calling from. That's me trying to hold my energy down. Okay? And let them know, listen, I am not interested in selling you anything. I'm not trying to recruit you out of your position. I'm really here because I like to do something that people just don't do often, and that is get to know you. Yes, I'm a recruiter. Yes, this is what I do for a living, but I'm all about building relationships first. And I'm hoping over time, if the opportunity ever arises, you'd be interested in working with me. Can we take 15 minutes out of your time sometime tomorrow, before work, on your lunch or after, and really just kind of get to know each other? I'll tell you a little bit about what I do. You can tell me a little bit about what you do, and let's just start this relationship. And then over time, you continue to build the relationship. You continue to send them things that are of interest to them. You text them or email them every now and then. You start building a list of questions over time that you ask every candidate so that you can learn your market in a way that no other staffing agency that they know, because they haven't taken the time to do what you've done. And then you build strategy. You start creating analytics around the Q&A. I'm just throwing things out here for you to see that, building relationships, having the right mindset, having strategy, knowing how to communicate are keys, and they will all immediately make you successful in this business. You combine those information, those things, those tools, those resources with an amazing niche. Oh man, now you're rocking it out. Now you're starting to build a beautiful, sweet business model, a sweet business that you're loving and that you're enjoying. Okay. And then the other piece is the repetition, which I talked about very lightly earlier. Whenever you're building a relationship, you've got to repeat it. Whenever you're trying to find out the answers to questions, it has to be a level of repetition. When people create surveys, that is a form of repetition. Even though the person who is filling out the survey is different, they're all still people and they're all still answering the same questions. It's a form of repetition for you to gain answers. When you're building relationships, if you are a female and a male is trying to get to know you, okay, he's got to call you 1,000 times to get your attention. He's got to email you. And if he's really interested, he's not giving up because you say, don't call. He's still going to call because he knows that he has something that you want or need. And it's no different in the relationship that you're going to build with your candidates or your hiring manager. It's just not love. It's just employment. And that'll take you so far if you really build this business with the intent to focus on the relationships. When we've got 6 minutes before the end of the call, and I am on fire and I'm trying to contain this energy, I want to open the floor up. This is a startup call, so I like to talk about where you are in your startup phase. However, with the last 6 minutes, if you just want to chime in and ask a question, I would love to hear from you. Please *7 to unmute your phone, *6 to mute your phone. Let me hear from you. 5 minutes left for Q&A. What do you have for me? And don't be shy. How many people are niching in the HR space? Who's niching in the healthcare space? Who's niching in the IT space? What are your challenges? What are your fears about starting this business? This is an open floor session. This is a time to ask questions and talk about it.
Hello, D.
Yes.
Hi, this is Sherelle Hatcher. Thank you for all the wealth of information and your great energy this morning.
Thank you.
I'm calling. I looked up your checkoff list, your startup checkoff list on the Staffingpreneurs website, and they had an agency that is a resource for funding, I guess, against payroll. I'm not sure because I didn't go further to call the company as far as research. I was, just gathering more information by these calls and different information you've given me in my own research. But what are those funding companies for that are listed on your Staffingpreneur checkoff?
That's a great question. We get this question almost every week. The funding companies, they're employee payroll funding, and they really are a form of your back office. Your back office is all of the activities that are involved with, paying your employees, taxes, credit checks, different things like that. Okay. And so the payroll funding company is actually an excellent resource for you, especially if you're just starting up this company, because it gives you the ability to go in and to literally fund, literally place candidates with clients, match clients and candidates together on a contractual or on a staffing or temporary basis. It's used in the staffing or the professional services model for your short-term contracts or your contract to hire or your temp to hire contracts. And they provide the payroll funding for you so that is not something where you have to have an overhead. You've got to, because they're actually doing that for you. And basically what they do is they're basically purchasing your invoices to some degree. Okay, so your invoices are the real money. That's the real transaction there. Because every time someone fills out, you have a contract signed naturally, and their candidate is working per hour, then you're guaranteeing money. And so those funding companies are saying, okay, we'll pay your candidate while we're waiting for the client to pay you, and we'll pay them up to 90 days, some longer. And hopefully the client pays on time within a 30-day time period. And then they take their fee out, as well as the money that they've already put out to pay your employees. And then they send you the profit check. Some companies will also put you on payroll, depending on who you work with. So, they are an excellent resource for you to help to be able to not just play in this industry as someone on the direct hire or the permanent placement side, but it will allow you to be a key player in this industry to play on the contract or contract to hire side, or temp to perm side as well. Depending on your niche will determine what insurance is needed. And some of these back office companies or payroll funding companies will cover your insurance as your employer of record as well. We will get one. I'll get somebody on a call next week. One of my favorite companies that'll come on and talk a little bit for about 5 minutes and to make an introduction and to do a good Q&A, and then I'll send them on over for the introduction to take place. So that you can get a little more information. We will have a full-blown training session on Staffingpreneurs Academy where we'll actually have funding week, where we have different funding providers come on and introduce themselves and talk about what they offer, what niches they service, and how they can assist you, as well as pricing and so forth. So it's 12 o'clock. I thank you for your question. I don't want to go beyond our 1 hour piece, our 1 hour segment.
Thank you so much.
I love you guys. Thank you so much. And I will see you next Friday. Thank you. Thank you. You guys have a great day. Thank you.
Have a great Friday.
Thank you. Bye.